Now I'm ready.
Well, thanks, Arlan, for being on the show today. I'm so excited to have you. I've been having like a girl fan moment. I had my Beyonce Lizzo moment last night where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna talk to Arlan tomorrow.
Oh,
So super excited. Thank you.
thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. So the SheBurns podcast is all about teaching women to burn bright and not burn out, which is why I wanted you on the show. And this season's theme is women game changers. So you fit perfectly with that. And I've already done your intro. So I just kind of wanted an opportunity to talk a little bit with you about how you became so fearless, how you became so authentic, and talk to me a little bit about your work and what you're doing to make a huge change in the world and a movement for women in business.
Mm-hmm. Oh, all of that. So that's a lot. How did I? Well, I being authentic is just something that I don't think I trained myself to do. It's just something that came naturally to me. My mom has all these stories of me as a child walking into stores and telling people what I needed and how they were going to treat us at 5. So I think that I've always just thought that's the way to do it. I don't see another way. But it's been reinforced
Mhm.
that doing that is the only way that'll work for my life. And um, I I've just seen what it feels like to try to fit into some sort of mold or try to play a game, especially the last decade working on Backstage Capital, where I'm breaking into an industry, or did already break into an industry that was built for other people. It was
Mhm.
built for a very few people to understand, to have connections, to have prosperity. And it was tempting to try to fit in because I thought maybe I could get more done faster, could get the funding that I was looking for. But really quickly, I mean, same day, anytime I tried to do something like that, it just
Didn't work.
didn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't work. And it's like, why would I want to do that? And I get to have success in my own way, and I get to have prosperity in my own way as myself.
Yes.
So that's the win.
Mm-hmm.
That's
What
the
has this
win.
journey been like for you? I mean, I've read your story, behind the scenes. Certainly, we have the facts about you, the bio, but what has it really been like for you to go from homelessness to being a venture capitalist, right? I mean, you are changing the game for women and people in business in general. So, what has that journey been like for you? Has it been full of highs and lows? Has it been, you've set your target and you've aimed and you've gotten a bunch of no's, but you keep pushing through?
No,
Like,
it's
what
it's
is your,
been it's been heavy. It's
yeah,
been heavy. And even as recently as today,
okay,
this morning, today I like to have podcasts on the same day just because I can be in the same mindset.
right.
I do so much, I have 3 different companies. And I had a podcast that kicked things off, and it was with a white man, I believe he's in his 20s, maybe his early 30s. He's very wealthy by his own account, millionaire. Um, and it just went off the rails, and he was so rude to me, and he insulted me, but he insulted the people that I'm backing. So
Wow.
he he wanted to debunk the fact that there is a wage gap between women and men. And his answer to that was that the reason that there is a wage gap is because women enjoy having children so much and taking care of them that they don't even want to go into the workforce.
Wow.
And he said it with
Wow.
a straight face, and he said it with bravado. And it only got worse from there.
Yeah. Where do you
And
go from there? I mean,
yeah,
you see red, you're like literally, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I did try to reason with him. I tried to empathize with his lack of experience
Mm-hmm.
in life, and it wasn't working. And so it was a tough morning for me. I had
Sorry.
to deal with that. And I thought, but I often step outside of myself to observe the process. And I thought, wow, if people understood that those are the kind of conversations that I have to have on a
Right.
regular basis to even be in business, let alone, you know, thrive in it, just to be in business. And what people see are like, they see headlines for better or for worse,
Mm-hmm.
the great headlines, or they see like Backstage lays off its, team or
Right.
whatever. They
Right.
see the
The
black
back,
and white.
yeah.
Yeah, they don't see all the stuff in the middle. And I think that a lot of us entrepreneurs,
Mm-hmm.
we can relate to that.
Yeah.
That there's so much that happens that you're like, man, is this for everybody? I don't think it is.
Well, and am I getting punked? I mean, it's almost like, is
Oh,
this a
with
real
him.
conversation?
Yeah.
Did that go through? I'd be like, is he joking? Because
Oh, yeah.
just, yeah, no, I've had those as
No,
well.
I
You know,
love
when I
it.
named
Yeah.
my company She Shatters, Arlen, I got so many mean emails from random people like, do you help men? Why did you name it She
Ah,
Shatters? And it kind of similar. It's like you feel like you have to defend it, but at the same time, why are we defending it? Why
yeah,
are we defending it?
I finally told him, he said he wanted data on something. And I said, I don't owe you anything. I don't owe you anything. I said, it's a lived experience. And it's also been proven multiple times
Mhm.
with data. But he wanted something to fit into his narrative and he
Yeah.
was not budging from it. And, good luck to him and his wife.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about, so that's what the journey's been like for you. Behind the scenes, it's been great. Just kidding.
No,
But
it's had some wonderful times too, I
yeah,
have to say. There's been some amazing, amazing times when people come up to me or write to me and tell me that something I've done or said has helped them. You can't beat that.
you
You
can.
can't
And
beat it.
strangers, I love it when it's a stranger because you're
Yeah.
people, you're like, oh, you have to say that. But the
Strangers.
strangers, you're like, it just means so much more. I totally get it.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the biggest area of need that you're seeing when it comes to women in entrepreneurship. I belong to a lot of accelerators for women. And one of the biggest surprises, Arlen, was I was one of 15 people that pitched companies, and there were 3 women out of the 15 people that pitched.
Yeah.
So, first of all, getting to the table to even pitch, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what are the biggest kind of that biggest barrier that you're seeing for even women to get to the table, getting there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think it's understanding. I mean, the reason I'm hesitating just a little bit is that one of the things we talked about earlier was like, are there even people pitching, or are these women pitching? And it's
Right.
like they are, but it's like, can they even get in the room?
Yes.
That's the
Yes.
whole point. That's the
Correct.
whole point.
Yes.
I think about that. So it's like understanding. I think the biggest thing is the same thing it was, unfortunately, like 7 years ago when I was really starting in earnest, which is like people, including women sometimes,
Yeah.
thinking that backing women is somehow some sort of good-hearted charity situation.
Yeah.
It's just like, no, it's just not, it's not
Yeah.
just that,
Yeah.
right? And I think it's like that. When it comes to like a shift of the heart and the mind, that's the toughest thing
Yes.
I can imagine. I feel like I'm going to spend the rest of my life doing that.
Yes.
Because how do you, I can see it little by little. And people see it, and they especially see it. How do they see it? When you see Whitney Hurd at the IPO,
Yes.
where you
Yes.
see people breaking those myths and going further and faster. And that's what we need more of. So we need more representation and examples. And then, I think an over mentoring, underfunding is another
Yes.
issue.
Yes.
I think we definitely need mentoring. I think all entrepreneurs need mentoring, but mentoring can't just be sharing of knowledge and insights. It also needs to come with connections and opening
Yes.
doors and making phone
Yes.
calls.
Absolutely. And the steps that it takes to get there. I think, when I was pitching to raise money for my fund, I think the reality was I had the pitch deck, everything was going, I was ready to go. I got in the room and it was having to justify, to your point, the earlier conversation that you had with like, did they not realize how much it took to even get in that room? Right.
Exactly.
So that's the like foundational piece.
Yeah.
And then the other piece is mentorship. So that's my job, coaching and mentoring women. But I will tell you, the finance piece is huge, Arlen. Like there's so many women entrepreneurs that don't understand the finance piece. They just don't understand caps tables, all these different things. They need that education. And so where is that? And then the follow through. Like I also think as a women entrepreneur, an entrepreneur in general, you need to have those gateposts of, okay, what's next after this meeting? What does the follow up look like? Who do you talk to? Who are the right people? And almost having a roundtable discussion of who are the people that can come to the table, bringing the women in your life or the people in your life to come to the table and say, what can we do about, who do you know? Who can you connect me to?
Yeah.
Where's that?
And I think your audience might really appreciate this. So if you go to arlansacademy.com, ARLANS academy.com, I have $4,000 worth of curriculum for free for entrepreneurs.
Okay.
And my flagship course is called How to Raise Capital from Scratch. It talks about raising capital, but it also talks about bootstrapping, which I like.
Yeah.
but it does answer those questions about
Great.
what do you do? What's the lead up to raising? And then how do you work with your investors and what are they expecting? And I even have a module in there that says, in the mind of a millionaire, how are they thinking about things, right?
Love that.
Because that's a part that we don't always get to see. And if we are, maybe we've seen one or two, but not to know, the full breadth of it.
Yeah.
So I definitely would recommend, there's no catch. I just want more people to understand and know about all that. We have like 20 women, mostly women of color, teach as experts, teaching on the course,
Awesome.
on the academy.
Love it.
And there's so many topics, from starting an LLC or getting your LLC to like, how do you get your valuation ready for exit? Everything in between.
Great. Well, those are the steps that we need. I think a lot of people think it's a pitch deck. You go in, you don't get the money, and then what? You move on to the next person. But there's a lot of things that you can do behind the scenes to prepare as well. I love that. Okay, we'll drop a chat and drop the line in the chat notes here. Tell me a little bit about your advice to entrepreneurs regarding burnout. I'm busy because entrepreneurs get burned out, right? So talk to me a little bit about, first of all, personally, have you burned out?
Yes.
Every day at 10 a.m. at noon, right? And then what are you doing for yourself survival? And then what is your advice for our listeners?
Yeah, I definitely have had burnout, like major health problems from burnout. And it seemed starting in 2019 that would happen once a year.
Okay, your annual burnout.
Like it would happen like really hardcore.
Wow.
To the point where I would either end up in a hospital because I had just was exhausted or, was having some sort of attack, or I just couldn't do anything, paralyzed by it. And, when you do that 2 or 3 times, maybe it started in 2018, because when you do that 2 or 3 times, you realize, oh, this isn't sustainable. I can't just do this. And it was because I had so much responsibility. So some of it was just an understanding, like getting a better understanding and understanding myself better, of like, what are the warning signs that what are
your triggers? Yeah.
Also, there was a lot of responsibility that I had, and I still have quite a bit of responsibility, but in the last 18 months, I have shed myself of responsibility. And that is a deep conversation with yourself, either with a therapist or with people you care about or yourself, because you could feel a little bit of, oh, I'm supposed to take care of those people, like even employees. I'm supposed to.
You're responsible. It's that responsibility. Yeah.
You know what was really helpful was in 2018. So it took me a few months to really listen and hear it. But I got on a call with Ursula Burns, who was one of the, I think she was the first Black woman to be a CEO of a Fortune 500 company. She is just a powerhouse, a living legend. And there was a fund issue that I was working on. So I got like 3 or 4 of these powerhouse phone calls lined up because someone did me a favor. And we get on the call, and everybody else was pretty much like, okay, let's walk through it and let's talk about it. And she got on the phone and she said, listen, she said, I don't know who you are. She's like, I don't know who you are. And at the time, she knows me now. She goes, I don't know who you are. I have about 10 minutes. What's going on? And I say, well, this is the employees, this is what we're working on. We've invested in all these companies. I'm ready for her to pat me on the back and say, great, you've done so much for us Black women. Instead, she said, how many of your employees are making money for you? And I said, none. And she said, you need to get rid of every employee that's not making money for you, because they need to be able to pay for themselves. And she starts rattling off this stuff, super hardcore, tough love.
But helpful.
And I didn't do that because, she didn't know enough about the company, and that's not exactly how it worked, because it was a fund. But what she was saying was, you can't be carrying everybody on your back. It's not fair to you, and it's not fair to them.
Right.
Because they have to see that sort of me being all irritable because I'm worried about payroll and stuff.
Well, they have to have a stake in the game. They have to feel.
Yeah. And they're doing an amazing job. They can go out and get better jobs. Right. It's kind of like a little egotistical to hold people back if you realize you can't take them too far. So it's just been a lot of self-discovery and taking away ego.
Yes.
And being super, like, I don't necessarily think I need to be humble, because I think Black women have a little humility that they are owed, that they're not owed, right? But I think that just kind of really being honest with yourself is so important when it comes to burnout.
Yes.
Like being so honest with yourself, like, what am I really supposed like, what do I owe people?
Yeah.
I'm
And what do I
getting
owe
rid
myself? What do I owe
what I owe
myself?
like
Yeah.
right. So what do I owe people is the answer to what I owe myself, because it's like I actually don't owe that many people things that I
Right.
kind of act like I do.
Yeah.
I owe it to myself, I owe it to my family,
Yes.
and even then only to a degree.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And yeah, it just has evolved, and now I feel very content, and I feel very much in control of my day to day.
So that lightens your load, certainly around burnout.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Burnout, just knowing it and then making steps. So one of them is about employees, but other things is just about phone calls. Like I'm only doing calls on certain days of the week. I'm only saying yes to, if I was saying yes to 50%, I'm saying yes to 5% now.
Correct.
Of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
It's just you get older and you get wiser.
What do you wish you would have known in year one starting your business? So you're, beyond year one, right? You
Mhm.
started it in 2015, Backstage
That's
Capital.
right. That's
So
right.
where are you looking back in 2016 at Arlan? What do you
Mhm.
wish you would have known?
I wish I would have known that when someone says something's going to happen, it means zero until it happens.
Right.
Whether that's a check coming in, wire coming in, somebody meeting you somewhere, somebody making the phone call they said they're going to make, somebody partnering with you. Until it happens, it's just talk.
Actions are everything.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And putting your money behind what you're saying. I mean, I
Yeah.
think you probably have a million conversations where I believe in you, I invest in you, and
Yeah.
it's like, show up.
Show up. And I tell you, there's some people who have shown up. I gotta give a
Mhm.
shout out to Holly Laveau in Portland, a super
Ooh, that's
angel.
where I am.
Yeah,
Portland.
Holly Laveau is amazing. She is
I don't
just,
know her. Okay.
you gotta know her. You
Okay.
gotta know. She's also, in addition to being one of Backstage's most premier backers and funders, money where your mouth is, more than once. She also has a slate of movies that are like independent movies that are directed, written, starring women.
Ooh.
And there's like 6 of them, and she has 3 of them already filmed. And she's just like, I just like, you can go to her Instagram, Holly Laveau, and she's just like this example of someone who knows they have privilege, has something like talent and skill to give to the world, and is like merging the two.
Love it.
And it's just like
Ooh.
she did this thing once where she backed me in something, and she said, you put your name on it. I'll put the money behind it. You put your name on it.
Love it.
Because she
Wow.
knew to step aside for that. And it's
Ugh.
just really cool. Just really cool.
Okay, I'm gonna look her up. Thank you.
Hey.
Tell me about God, when something that no one really knows, right, about you. Of course, it's a secret, right? But something that like no one really knows, like if you really knew me, right, you would know that what? Arlan, what?
I'm really, really silly.
Like you're an open book.
Yeah, I'm an open book. I tell people stuff all the, but I think one thing I noticed when I meet people in person, like people will say to my face, "Oh, I thought you were going to be much more intimidating." So what they don't know is, like, especially with my wife, I'm so silly. I'm just the goofiest person. My friend Anjali Bahimi, who's Bamini, sorry, who is an actress on everything. She said that marriage is just being with your best friend and being the silliest you can be.
A good marriage, a good marriage.
Yeah, a good marriage. Yes. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's it. That's it. Like, who else can you be that silly with?
Arlan, are you a practical joker? I mean, what are you silly about? Like, do you?
No, I don't like that
you
kind
don't
of
like
stuff.
that
I don't
stuff.
like Halloween and costume. I don't like that kind of stuff. I'm kind of a curmudgeon, but I'm silly just about like, I mean, it's silly, but like that's what she said is probably the most stated sentence in my house with my wife.
That's what she said.
Yeah. From The Office.
Yeah,
like
of
we're
course.
just silly. Like we're just like 15-year-old kids, like just being silly. But it takes away from that pressure that I have during work, all the work that I have.
You gotta have fun. I mean, you gotta have fun and you gotta laugh, right? I mean, I love those moments when you're just like peeing your pants, to be honest with you, especially when you hit 40. I don't know if you're in your 40s, but since I've been in my 40s, you gotta be careful, right? You gotta be
Hey, I hear you. And like when I do my speaking engagements, I tend to be a funny person.
Yeah.
And people will be like, I can't believe you're so funny. You should do stand-up. And I'm like, this is just like how I am normally, but it doesn't come across the same. I'm usually talking about serious topics.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or I'm usually yelling at some millionaire or something.
So tell me what you're working on now. I saw on your Instagram something about there's like a movie in the background, or looks like I don't know, something about a movie, or I know it's something going on with your book. You're selling a lot of copies. It's huge, right? It's about
Yeah,
damn
it's about
time.
damn time is the
Yeah.
book. Check it out. It's about damn time. Still just doing really strong numbers. And I'm so proud of it. And I have Your First Million is my new podcast video version. So I've had Your First Million podcast for 3.5 years,
Uh-huh.
but we just launched a new video version with amazing interviews. It was fully produced with a co-producer in the UK that I've been working with for a couple of years. And it's just something I'm just having a ball with. And it marries all the things I care about.
Well, I love the casualness of it. I mean, I just saw a couple episodes yesterday, but
Yeah.
just sitting in a chair chatting with
Yeah.
someone, right? Just
Yeah.
keeping it cash, talking to people
Yeah.
like real people, because everyone wants to hear what you're working on, of course.
Yeah.
But we also want to get to know you because, you're a little bit different than what I expected. You're a lot more fun, right? So I think it's keeping it real. But I think the other question is, what is it that you want to do this year that look back on 2014 and it's New Year's Eve and you're like, I did it.
Mhm.
What is it?
We are working on a new fund at Backstage that I can't talk about yet, but I would want that to have come to fruition in a good way. Yeah,
Okay.
and there'll be more information, but I think I can say that we're going to be moving a little downstream or upstream, I should say, where it's is it upstream or downstream? I can't think of it, but it's where we're Series B and
Yes.
later stage companies, so downstream, and I think that's where we should be. Like we will always invest in early stage companies. That's where we started, and that's where we find the best and the most innovative things. And I think now, like, part of the plan behind the scenes was always to have a full stack and be like, we can meet you the first day you start your company.
Yes.
We can meet you when you're getting ready for IPO.
Yes.
And I think getting closer to that Series B, just a little bit closer to growth stage, is exciting, and it'll be nice to see what happens there. And I'm also realistic, and I know it's been tough to raise. I've raised 20 million in the last 7 years, so that's nothing to sneeze at, but it's also tough to raise. And so I know that it might be tough to do it. So looking back on New Year's Eve, if we had a good go at it and we were able to raise some, I would be happy.
And when do you come to Portland?
I'm due a trip to Portland. My friend Stephen Green and I are trying to make that happen this year, but it'll happen this year for sure. I just don't know when.
Where do you go when you come to Portland? What do you like to do? I know you like sports.
It's been a while.
Yeah,
it's been a while. I used to live in Portland for a few months. It's been a while though, so I'd have to be reintroduced.
Well, we'd love to have you. I'm going to do a book signing at Powell's. I'd love to see you there.
Oh yeah, I would do that.
I would love to do that. And then I was thinking I was just in Mexico last week, and I thought maybe if I called Arlan and told her to meet me over there, we could do the podcast there versus.
Good idea. It wouldn't hurt. No, I was actually in Puerto Rico, so at the same time, so it's probably mixed. But no, I definitely would love to do something with the book. I didn't get a chance to do. I've done now a few things, but with COVID and my book coming out and the timing, didn't get to do the tour that I had planned. So I always love a good a book signing.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Well, thank you so much for your time. I know you're a busy woman. Really appreciate you being on the show. And we'll put your links certainly in the chat. But thank you for being such a vision for all of us and my girl crush, as I call it. I really appreciate you. And if there's anything my listeners or I can do for you or your fund, please let me know.
Thank you so much. I'll see you all at Your First Million podcast.
All right. Thanks, Arlan. Have a good day.